The stars looked different from the bridge of the horizon. Dr. Alan Carter stood by the main window, his eyes fixed on the unfamiliar patterns of light. After 3 months in deep space, the Earth's first faster-than-light vessel had reached Alpha Centauri. "Navigation confirms we're holding position, Doctor," said Lieutenant Eric Johnson from his console. "All systems normal." Alan nodded, still amazed they had actually done it. Humanity had finally broken the light barrier. The year 2157 would be remembered forever as the time humans first stepped beyond their solar system. "Dr. Carter, you need to see this," called Samantha Wright, the ship's young cryptologist. Her fingers moved quickly over her screen. The deep space scanner picked up something unusual, a signal, artificial in origin. Alan moved quickly to her station. "Are you certain?" "Yes, sir. It's not random. There's a clear pattern." Samantha's brown eyes were wide with excitement. "It's broadcasting on multiple frequencies, almost like it's waiting to be found." Captain Olivia Daniels joined them, her uniform crisp despite the months in space. "Could it be a natural phenomenon?" "No, Captain. This is definitely artificial," Samantha replied. "And it's close, just beyond the fourth planet." The bridge fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. "Plot a course," Captain Daniels ordered. "Let's see what's waiting for us." The horizon moved slowly through the Alpha Centauri system. As they approached the source of the signal, the sensors began to pick up more details. "It's a beacon," Alan said, studying the readings. "About the size of a small car. It's broadcasting in patterns of 7, repeating." Samantha worked furiously at her station. "I'm running it through the translation matrix. It's complex, but there are mathematical constants we recognize." Hours passed as the crew worked to understand the alien message. Finally, Samantha looked up from her screen. "I think I've got it," she said. "It's a welcome message. It says, 'Greetings, travelers. You have been noticed.'" Alan felt a chill despite the controlled temperature of the bridge. "There's more," Samantha continued, her voice growing uncertain. "It says representatives will arrive to welcome us to the galactic community." "Representatives?" Captain Daniels asked. "When?" Before Samantha could answer, the ship's alarm blared. On the main view screen, space itself seemed to tear open. 3 massive ships, each at least 20 times the size of the horizon, appeared from nowhere. "Defensive systems online," Lieutenant Johnson shouted. "No," Captain Daniels ordered. "Stand down. If they wanted to destroy us, they could have done it already." The largest ship moved closer. It was sleek and silver, with strange glowing patterns along its hull. A communication request flashed on the main screen. "Accept it," Captain Daniels said. The screen filled with the image of a tall, humanoid figure with pale blue skin and large almond-shaped eyes. When it spoke, its mouth didn't match the words they heard. "Greetings, humans of Earth. I am Ambassador Zorlak of the Arcturian Confederation, representing the Galactic Council. For 3,000 years, our coalition of 27 advanced species has maintained peace across the known universe. We have been observing your world for some time." The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. "Your achievement of faster-than-light travel has qualified Earth for contact," continued Zorlak. "We invite a delegation from your world to attend the Council as observers." As the conversation continued, Samantha leaned close to Alan. "Something's wrong," she whispered. "The translation has inconsistencies. These aren't the same patterns as the beacon." Alan noticed Captain Daniels watching as council representatives scanned their ship with strange devices. The aliens seemed particularly interested in their weapon systems. Meanwhile, on Earth, news of first contact spread quickly. The United Nations called an emergency session, and Secretary Patricia Newman was already preparing what would be humanity's first diplomatic mission to the stars. No one suspected that the Galactic Council had already discussed Earth's fate behind closed doors, and no one knew that the 3,000 years of peace the aliens spoke of had come at a terrible price. Jason Miller was not supposed to be in this part of the ship. As a communications technician on the Galactic Council vessel, he had clearance only for the lower decks. But a faulty terminal needed fixing, and the regular repair crew was busy elsewhere. Just finish quickly and leave, he told himself as he opened the access panel. The terminal sparked, and suddenly strange symbols filled the screen. Jason recognized them as high-level council communications, messages he definitely wasn't supposed to see. One word caught his eye: humans. His hand shook as he read more. The council wasn't welcoming humanity. They were afraid of them. Notes from council meetings described humans as dangerously adaptive and evolving too quickly. The council had voted to assess Earth as a potential threat. "What are you doing here?" a voice asked. Jason turned to see Krell, a member of the Solari species. The Solari looked almost human except for their golden skin and 6 fingers on each hand. Krell worked as a cultural liaison for the council. "The terminal needed fixing," Jason said quickly. "I was just leaving." Krell's eyes moved to the screen. "You've seen too much." Jason prepared to run, but Krell raised his hands. "Don't worry. Not all council members agree with this plan," Krell said quietly. "The Solari believe humanity deserves a chance." "What plan?" Jason asked. "The council fears your species. You developed in centuries what took others millennia. Your history of warfare concerns them." "But the council promotes peace," Jason argued. Krell's laugh was bitter. "The council maintains order, not peace. There's a difference." Meanwhile on Earth, Dr. William Foster stared at his computer screen with growing concern. As head of Earth's new Alien Technology Division, he had been studying the energy signatures from the council ships. "Lisa, look at this," he called to Major Lisa Hayes, his military contact. Major Hayes leaned over his shoulder. Her face grew serious as she viewed the data. "Are those what I think they are?" she asked. "Yes. Cloaked vessels in Earth orbit. At least 7 of them," Dr. Foster confirmed. "They're watching us." "The council told us they only had 3 ships in our system," Major Hayes said. "Exactly. They lied." In space, the diplomatic vessel carrying Secretary Patricia Newman and her team approached the massive council station called Nexus. It was an artificial world, home to representatives from all 27 council species. Captain Olivia Daniels stood beside Secretary Newman on the observation deck. The council station gleamed like a jewel in space, a ring-shaped structure with spires rising from its outer edge. "It's beautiful," Secretary Newman whispered. "Yes," Captain Daniels agreed, but her eyes were wary. The military officer had noticed council security scanning their ship far more thoroughly than seemed necessary for peaceful visitors. As they prepared to dock, a maintenance worker approached Captain Daniels and pressed something into her hand. "From Jason Miller," he whispered before quickly walking away. When alone, Captain Daniels examined the small data device. It contained a single message: "The council hasn't kept peace for 3,000 years through talk alone. They eliminate threats before they become dangerous. Humanity has been classified as a potential threat." Her blood ran cold. Secretary Newman and the others were walking into danger, not a diplomatic meeting. On Earth, Major Hayes rushed into an emergency session of the World Security Council. "We have a problem," she announced. "Dr. Foster has discovered that our planetary defense systems have been compromised. Someone has inserted backdoors into all our major weapons platforms." "How is that possible?" asked General Frank Rodriguez. "The scans," Dr. Foster explained. "What we thought were peaceful scans during first contact were actually mapping our defenses." As Secretary Newman's team prepared for their first council meeting, they had no idea that Earth was already being prepared for conquest. The 3,000 years of peace the council boasted about was about to end. Secretary Patricia Newman tried not to stare as she entered the Grand Council chamber. The room was enormous, with a high ceiling that seemed to reflect the stars themselves. Representatives from 27 different species sat in curved rows around a central platform. Some aliens looked almost human. Others were completely different. Floating clouds of light, tall insect-like beings, and creatures that seemed made of living crystal. "Remember," Captain Olivia Daniels whispered beside her, "we're just observers today. The warning from Miller suggests we should be careful what we agree to." Secretary Newman nodded slightly. She hadn't wanted to believe the warning, but Captain Daniels' concerns couldn't be ignored. Ambassador Zorlak met them at the entrance. His blue skin gleamed under the soft lights. "Welcome to Nexus," he said with a slight bow. "The Council is honored by Earth's presence." The human delegation took their seats in a special section for visiting species. The ceremony began with music that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Supreme Leader Vex Orn of the Draconis species rose from his central seat. He resembled a tall, thin dragon walking on two legs, with scales that shifted colors as he moved. "Today we welcome observers from Earth," he announced, his voice deep and powerful. "Ambassador Zorlak will present their case for future consideration as Council associates." Zorlak stepped onto the central platform. He spoke well of humanity's accomplishments in science and art. Secretary Newman felt a small sense of pride as the assembled aliens murmured appreciatively. Then suddenly, Vex Orn interrupted. "However, we must also consider Earth's history," he said. The chamber darkened, and images appeared in the air. Scenes of human warfare, nuclear explosions, and environmental damage. "A species that turns violence against itself will eventually turn violence outward," Vex Orn declared. "And their rate of technological development is unprecedented and dangerous." Secretary Newman stood up. "These images lack context. Humanity has worked hard to overcome our violent past." "Yet your first starship carries weapons," Zorlak countered. The mood in the chamber changed instantly. What was supposed to be a welcoming ceremony had become a trial. Meanwhile on Earth, Major Hayes and Dr. Foster worked frantically in an underground facility. "The back doors are in everything," Dr. Foster said, his face pale with exhaustion. "Missiles, satellites, even power grids. They could shut us down with a single command." "How did they get this deep into our systems?" Major Hayes asked. "Those first scans were more invasive than we realized. It's like they've been planning this from the beginning." Back on Nexus, the Council voted. The result appeared as a glowing red symbol above the central platform. "Earth has been designated a Class 1 evolutionary threat," Vex Orn announced. "Containment protocols will begin immediately." Secretary Newman felt cold fear grip her heart. "Containment? What does that mean?" "Your technology will be limited. Your expansion beyond your solar system forbidden," Zorlak explained. "It is for the greater peace." Council security forces, tall armored beings with 4 arms, moved toward the human delegation. "They're going to detain us," Captain Daniels whispered urgently. "This was never a diplomatic mission. It was a trap." Daniels pressed a small device in her pocket. Suddenly, the lights in the chamber flickered. In the confusion, she grabbed Secretary Newman's arm. "Run. I'll create a diversion." As alarms blared throughout Nexus, Secretary Newman and half the delegation escaped down a service corridor, guided by a map Miller had provided. Behind them, Captain Daniels and the others fought briefly before being captured. On the Council command ship, Admiral Dravkon of the Thorin species received the news with satisfaction. "Begin the blockade of Earth," he ordered. "No human vessels will leave their system." The 3,000 years of galactic peace had been broken. The Council had chosen humanity as its new enemy, not realizing that humans were unlike any species they had ever tried to contain before. 3 months had passed since the betrayal at Nexus. Secretary Patricia Newman stood at the window of the underground command center, watching the live feed from orbit. 12 massive Council ships formed a ring around Earth, preventing any vessel from leaving the solar system. "Madam Secretary, the world leaders are ready for your briefing," said her aide. Newman nodded and turned away from the window. In the main conference room, The faces on the screens looked tired but determined. Leaders from every nation had united against the common threat. Our situation remains challenging, Newman began. The Council blockade is holding, but so far they haven't attacked. Captain Daniels and the others are still being held prisoner. However, we did receive another encrypted message from our ally inside the Council. On the other side of the world, in a secret facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Stephen Garcia worked with pieces of alien technology. As Earth's top engineer, he had been studying the damaged Council probe that had crashed 2 weeks earlier. "It's not magic," he muttered as he connected wires to the probe's scanning device. "It's just technology we don't understand yet." Before the alien threat, Garcia had been a skeptic about extraterrestrial life. Now he worked day and night to understand the enemy's weapons and defenses. "Stephen, you need to see this," called Dr. Foster, entering the lab with a tablet. Major Hayes sent new scan data from the Council ships. Garcia studied the information. Their shield frequency changes in a pattern. If we could predict the pattern, we might be able to get a shot through, Foster finished. On Nexus, Captain Olivia Daniels sat in her cell, marking another day on the wall with a small stone. The Council kept the human prisoners in fairly comfortable conditions, but isolated from each other. The door slid open, and Dr. Ilara entered. She was from the Luminar species, tall and slender with pale skin that seemed to glow softly. As the prison's medical officer, she was the only one who spoke kindly to the human prisoners. "Your health scan is due," she said, her voice musical. As she ran her scanning device over Daniels, she whispered, "Not all of us agree with the Council's decision. Some of us are working to help you." Daniels kept her face neutral, but her heart raced. "Why would you help us?" "Because I studied your people," Ilara replied softly. "You're not the monsters they claim. And the Council has done this before to other species. It's wrong." Meanwhile, in the lower levels of Nexus, Jason Miller and Krell moved through maintenance tunnels, avoiding security patrols. Over the past months, they had gathered crucial information about Council military capabilities. "These are the plans for the blockade fleet," Krell said, showing Miller a holographic display. "And this is something more disturbing." The image showed records going back thousands of years. 12 other species had been classified as threats and contained by the Council. Some had been reduced to primitive states, their technology destroyed. Others had been confined to their home planets for centuries. "They fear what they can't control," Krell explained. "Your species develops too quickly and adapts too well." On Earth, in the command center, alarms suddenly blared. Major Hayes rushed into the room. "Madam Secretary," she said urgently, "the Council ships are changing formation. They're moving into attack positions." Newman's face hardened. They've been waiting for something. Now they're making their move. She turned to her communications officer. "Send the signal. Activate Project Firewall." Around the world, hidden installations powered up. Stephen Garcia watched nervously as his adapted alien technology came online for the first time. It was humanity's best hope, a defense system built from the Council's own technology, but modified with human ingenuity. "They think we're primitive," Garcia said to Foster as they monitored the system. "Let's show them how quickly humans can learn." In orbit, the Council warships prepared to launch their first strike against Earth. Admiral Dravkan was confident it would be a short conflict. After all, no species had ever successfully resisted a Council containment action in 3,000 years. He had no idea what humanity was about to unleash. Admiral Dravkan stood on the bridge of his command ship. His 4 eyes narrowed as he gave the order. "Begin the attack. Target their military bases first." Beams of blue energy shot down from the Council ships. They struck at military installations around the world. The Admiral expected to see massive explosions. Instead, the beams hit invisible barriers and scattered. "What is happening?" he demanded. On his screen, Lieutenant Zex reported, "Sir, the humans have deployed some kind of shield technology. It's similar to our own designs." Dravkan slammed his fist down. Impossible. They couldn't have developed that so quickly. On Earth, Stephen Garcia watched the shield readings with relief. Project Firewall was working. The shields he had created from the crashed probe's technology were holding. The shields are at 85% strength, he told Secretary Newman, but they won't last forever. Newman nodded. Then it's time for Phase 2. General Hayes, you have permission to launch. Major Lisa Hayes, now promoted to general, gave the order. Around the world, hidden launch sites opened. Small, sleek ships rose into the sky. They looked nothing like Earth's previous spacecraft. These were built with the knowledge gained from studying Council technology. Commander Ryan Martinez sat in the cockpit of the lead fighter. Unlike the huge Council warships, the human fighters were small and fast. Remember the plan, he told his squadron through the radio. Their ships have a weak spot near the engine section, and our new EMP weapons should disrupt their systems. The human fighters swarmed toward the Council fleet. The alien ships tried to target them, but the Earth vessels were too quick. On the Council command ship, Admiral Dravkon watched in shock as the human fighters approached. How do they have ships that can break our blockade? He demanded. And how do they know where to attack? On Nexus, Captain Daniels followed Dr. Ilara through dark corridors. Alarms blared throughout the station. The other prisoners are waiting at the shuttle bay, Ilara explained. But we must hurry. Security will be looking for you. What caused the alarms? Daniels asked. Your people, Ilara said with a small smile. They're fighting back, and they're doing better than anyone expected. In another part of Nexus, Jason Miller and Krell joined a growing group of aliens from different species. Some were Council workers who had learned the truth. Others were representatives from worlds that had suffered under Council rule. The humans are showing us all that the Council can be opposed, Krell told the group. It's time we support them. Back in orbit around Earth, Commander Martinez's squadron reached their target, the flagship of the Council fleet. The human ships fired strange devices that attached to the hull of the alien vessel. EMP devices in place, Martins reported. Detonating in 3, 2, 1. The devices exploded, sending waves of energy through the Council ship. Its lights flickered and went dark. Their systems are down, Martinez shouted. All ships, target the next vessel. On Earth, General Hayes watched the battle on the main screen. The flagship is disabled, she reported to Secretary Newman. Our boarding teams are moving in to capture it. Newman's eyes widened. Capture, not destroy. Yes, Mom. Garcia says the ship will contain valuable military intelligence. In his lab, Stephen Garcia worked frantically to improve the shields. His team had adapted Council technology in ways the aliens never imagined. Humans were using their greatest strength, the ability to think differently. Their technology follows rules, Garcia explained to Dr. Foster. But we're breaking those rules, combining things in ways they never tried. On the Council command ship, Admiral Dravkon received reports of human resistance around the world and in space. For the first time in his long career, he felt uncertain. This cannot be happening, he whispered. No species has ever fought back so effectively. His communications officer turned to him with fear in his eyes. Sir, we've lost contact with the flagship, and the humans have captured it. The Council's 3,000 years of military dominance was facing its first real challenge. Humanity wasn't just resisting. They were fighting back and winning. Stephen Garcia stood inside the captured Council flagship, surrounded by alien technology far more advanced than anything he had worked with before. Earth's special forces had secured the vessel, and now scientists and engineers were learning its secrets. This is incredible, Garcia said as he accessed the ship's main computer. Their database contains the entire history of the Council. Dr. Foster worked beside him, translating the alien text. I'm finding something disturbing here, Stephen. The Council wasn't formed for peace at all. As they dug deeper into the files, the true history of the Galactic Council emerged. It had begun 3,000 years ago, when 5 advanced species formed an alliance. But their goal wasn't peaceful cooperation. It was control. They've been suppressing other civilizations, Foster said, his voice growing angry. Any species that develops too quickly gets classified as a threat and contained. On Nexus, Captain Daniels, now free thanks to Dr. Ilara, met with Miller and Krell in a hidden room. Other aliens from various species had joined the resistance movement. "We need to share what we've learned," Daniels said. "The Council has lied to everyone." Krell nodded. "I've gained access to the main communication network. We can broadcast to all Council worlds at once." "But will they believe us?" asked Miller. "They will when they see the proof," said Dr. Ilara. She handed Daniels a small device. "This contains records of all the species the Council has suppressed, including something they don't want anyone to know." Daniels studied the information, and her eyes widened. "This changes everything." Back on Earth, Secretary Newman received the news about the captured flagship's database. She immediately called a meeting with world leaders. "The Council has been lying for thousands of years," she explained. "They aren't peacekeepers, they're controllers. And now we know why they fear us so much." On the screen, she showed images from the database. Many Council species have stopped developing new technology. Innovation is strictly controlled by the founding members. They fear humanity not just because we might be violent, but because we create and adapt too quickly. In the Council emergency session on Nexus, Supreme Leader Vexorn faced angry representatives from many member species. "The humans must be stopped," he insisted. "Their resistance proves how dangerous they are." Suddenly, every screen in the chamber changed. Captain Daniels' face appeared, broadcasting from somewhere on Nexus itself. "People of the Galactic Council," she said, "you've been lied to. The peace you value has come at the cost of freedom and progress." The screens showed images from the flagship's database, records of species that had been suppressed, civilizations forced back into primitive states, cultures destroyed because they developed too quickly. "The Council founders fear change," Daniels continued. "They've been holding back the development of all species for 3,000 years. As the broadcast continued, unrest spread throughout Nexus. Many representatives had never known the truth about their own history. On the Council command ship, Admiral Dravkan received an urgent message from Ambassador Zorlak. "The humans have exposed everything," Zorlak said, his blue face pale with worry. 17 member species are demanding an emergency vote. They want to remove the current leadership. "We must crush the humans now," Dravkan insisted, "before more damage is done." "It's too late," Zorlak replied. "I've been ordered to offer them terms." Back on Earth, Secretary Newman met with Zorlak via holographic projection. "The Council is willing to withdraw," the ambassador said stiffly, "if humanity agrees to remain within your solar system for 500 years. Newman's laugh was cold. "We refuse. We will defend ourselves. But we also wish to establish genuine peaceful relations with individual Council species, not with your corrupt institution." As Zorlak's image faded, General Hayes entered the room. "Madam Secretary, we're receiving messages from 7 different Council worlds. They want to talk directly with us, bypassing the Council leadership." The Council was breaking apart from within. The 3,000-year reign of the founding species was crumbling, all because humanity had refused to be controlled. 1 year after the Council's failed attack on Earth, a new space station hung in neutral territory between the solar system and Solari space. The station, named Unity, was built by both humans and aliens working together. Captain Olivia Daniels, now wearing the formal uniform of Earth's first ambassador to the stars, stood at the large window. Ships from 12 different worlds moved around the station, trading goods and sharing knowledge. "It's amazing how much has changed in a year," said Krell, who stood beside her. The Solari had become Earth's strongest ally. "From enemies to partners," Daniels agreed. "Though not everyone has joined us." The former council leadership, including Supreme Leader Vexorn and Admiral Dravkhan, had retreated to their core worlds with their loyal followers. They still controlled significant territory and military power. "They're calling it the Sovereign Alliance now," Krell said. "They still believe their way is right." "Then we have a Cold War," Daniels replied. "But at least it's not an active one." In the main conference room of Unity Station, representatives from Earth and 12 former council species sat around a circular table. No one was placed higher than others. All were equal. Secretary Newman called the meeting to order. "Today we signed the charter that creates the Galactic Cooperative. Not an empire, not a council that controls, but a true partnership of worlds." Back on Earth, Stephen Garcia led a team of human and alien scientists in the new Interstellar Technology Exchange. They worked together in a large laboratory, sharing ideas freely. "The most exciting thing," Garcia told a visiting Dr. Foster, "is how our different perspectives lead to new solutions. Humans think differently than Solari or Luminar, but together we create things none of us could alone." Dr. Ilara, who had left her position on Nexus to join the exchange, nodded in agreement. The Council feared this kind of collaboration. They wanted control more than progress. In orbit around Earth, construction ships worked on a massive project, Earth's first true interstellar colony vessel. Unlike the warships built during the conflict, this one was designed for peaceful settlement. The ship will carry 10,000 colonists to the HD 40,307 system, the project leader explained to a group of reporters. Both humans and aliens working together to build something new. One reporter asked, "Aren't you worried about the Sovereign Alliance attacking the colony?" "They might want to," the leader replied, "but they know the cooperative would defend it. Besides, more of their member worlds leave to join us every month. They're losing power, not gaining it." At the United Nations building in New York, Secretary Newman addressed the General Assembly. The room was packed with representatives from every nation on Earth. "1 year ago, we faced destruction," she said. "The Galactic Council broke 3,000 years of what they called peace to attack us. They feared what humanity might become." She paused, looking around the room. But in doing so, they revealed a truth they had hidden for millennia. Their peace was built on suppression and fear. True peace can only come from respect and cooperation. On the screen behind her appeared images of the new colony ship and Unity Station. "We were judged and found dangerous by those who feared what they didn't understand. Now we have the opportunity to prove what humanity truly stands for. Not dominance, but partnership. Not subjugation, but mutual growth." The final image showed Dr. Alan Carter, whose discovery of the alien beacon had started humanity's journey among the stars. He stood beside the entrance to the colony ship, now ready for its maiden voyage. "We step into the galaxy not as conquerors or conquered," Newman concluded, "but as equals ready to build a future together with those who share our vision of true cooperation. The stars are not something to fight over. They are something to explore together." As the colony ship prepared for departure, Dr. Carter looked back at Earth one last time. The journey that began with fear and conflict had transformed into something beautiful, a new beginning not just for humanity, but for all species who chose freedom over control. **The End*.